Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Today I want to talk about all the books coming out in September that I'm looking forward to. I think I have 17 of them here, and I'm going to categorize them based on the publishing date. Let's hop right in. The first week of September, we have The September House, which is just so perfect. This is a horror/mystery, and it's about a husband and wife that move into this house. And surprise, surprise, it's haunted, but only in the month of September. I hope they explain why that is, because that's just kind of funny. It's kind of goofy. The husband is sick of it right away, but the wife is like, no, I bought this house. I'm gonna live in this house. After some time, the husband ends up just leaving, so it didn't end well. They had a daughter and they kept the knowledge of the haunted Septembers a secret from her. Absolutely no idea how they did that. We're gonna find out. But now I think she's grown up and her dad has gone missing. So she goes back to the house to tell her mom, and it's September and she sees the haunted things going on. And the further they try to search for the dad, stuff is happening in the house. So I think the two are connected. Maybe the house kidnapped him for being like a shit husband. That'd actually be very funny. It's funny that this is categorized as like horror, thriller, mystery kind of thing, because it could so easily be so campy and goofy and like a satire. I kind of want to read a funny haunted house story, like a scary one but with dark humor. If any of you have suggestions, let me know. Then we have Enchanted to Meet You by Meg Cabot, and I'm only picking this up because she is the author of The Princess Diaries, which, yes, elementary and middle school me was obsessed with. This is the beginning of possibly a new series, but it's a fantasy romance about a plus-size witch who teams up with a handsome stranger to help protect their village from an otherworldly force. Seems very straightforward. They're gonna fall in love. Based on the cover, it's gonna be a happy ending. They're gonna defeat the bad guy. I just want to see if Meg Cabot's writing style is as fun, as funny, and as lighthearted as it was in The Princess Diaries. That's what I am hoping to get out of this book. Ooh, then we have Woke Up Like This. This is by Amy Lee. I don't know if it's Amy Lee or Amy Leah. This is the author of It's Set on You. I haven't read that one, but I did read the second one in that series, X's and O's. That book was so good. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I think I gave it 4, maybe 4.5 stars. It was sweet, it was funny, it was cute, loved it. And so I'm excited for this. I think this is sort of YA though. It's like a 13 going on 30 story, except I think the main character is going to prom. So she's probably 16 or 17, and she's setting up the decorations, I believe, and she falls into her arch nemesis. And somehow they are both transported into the future. And in this future, I think they're engaged or married, and they're 30 years old. And so they have to navigate this new world together, which I think is a great twist on that story. Being stuck there with someone else that's going through the same thing that you are. And then there's a forced proximity. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I don't know if it's then going to be a more adult book, or because they are still 16, 17-year-old human souls, if it's gonna still be YA. I don't know. I'm very, very curious about this, but this sounds so fun. It's got that energy of like when you are going to sleep and you start dreaming of scenarios back when you're in high school. This is exactly what I would have dreamt of if I had a better imagination. Oh, then we have Not Forever But For Now by Chuck Palahniuk. I never know how to say his last name. Palahniuk's what I've settled with. This is the author of Fight Club. I never finished that book because I dropped out of college, and it was one of the assigned books I had for my class. It was Deviant Behaviors in Literature, which is actually probably the coolest class I took in college. But yeah, I dropped out. Anyway, that's another story. That being said, I have not finished a book by Chuck Palahniuk, and I know his fans love his writing, although I feel like some of them have been flops. So I'm curious to see if I'll like this. This sounds so good. It is a horror satire. It's funny that I just mentioned that earlier. But this is about a family of like professional killers. There are 2 of the youngest members. They're getting ready to start stepping up and being in charge, or maybe going on missions. I don't really know. But there's like all this pressure surmounting on them, and then you probably get all of the family drama that's going on and the situations that they're in. Again, it's satire, so I'm thinking it's gonna be dark and silly. It's sort of giving the Addams Family, and I am so excited for this one. All right, in the second week of September, we have Rouge by Mona Awad, author of Bunny, which, yes, I loved, obviously. It's so funny because when the author started releasing ARCs, I saw everyone bragging about how they got a copy, but I never saw anyone review it, and so I don't know if it's because it sucked or they just haven't read it yet, but I'm scared. okay? But when I read this premises, it sounds so up my alley. I hate that phrase because my name's Allie, so pretend I didn't say that. That's gross. It sounds like something I am going to love. This is actually a gothic fairy tale, and I think it's like Snow White, but there's also mentions of like red shoes, so maybe it's like Wizard of Oz, or maybe she's taking influence from a bunch of different stories. But it's about a daughter whose mother was really obsessed with like vanity, kind of like the stepmom. Is she a stepmom in Snow White? The evil queen. She looks in a mirror, she's obsessed with this mirror, and she's like obsessed with her face. Anyway, the mom dies, and so the daughter, I think, starts getting wrapped up in the mom's life, maybe her friends. Now I'm making shit up, I'm so sorry. But I think this is a exploration of the cultness of like the beauty industry and all things vanity, all things staying young. I'm very interested in this cult spa that is talked about in the synopsis, but I hope we get flashbacks to this mother and daughter relationship because it sounds like it might have been turbulent, and those are just so interesting to me. So I really am hoping for the best with Rouge. If you've read it, let me know what you think, please. I need to know. I'm gonna be reading it anyway, so like, don't be shy. Then we have Fall of Ruin and Wrath. This is a new series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, who is the author of From Blood and Ash, which I have not read. I think this is like fantasy romance, but mostly romance. And so I'm guessing this is gonna be similar. And so I'm very excited because, I don't know, just the premise of a raunchy fantasy time, that's a promising start. This is a fantasy book where the royals feed on mortal pleasure. So yeah, it's probably gonna be very romantic. And our main character is a courtesan. Is that how you pronounce it? She's a whore. Why did I just say that? She's like a sex worker. And I'm thinking she's human, but everyone else are either gods or, I don't know, they're not mortal beings. So it's like this taboo, kinky time to get it on with a human, and so she's very popular. She also has some sort of psychic ability, at least that's what I got from the synopsis. And she ends up like meeting up with a prince, and she starts, you know, giving him a good time, and I don't really know what happens from there. Apparently she gets a vision that today he'll bring her joy, but one day he'll bring her doom. So I guess it's the mystery of when will he give her doom? I don't really know what's going on in here. I'm gonna read it for the smut, okay? Okay, next book. This is so random, and I had no idea that she was writing a book. But Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things is writing a book that's based on her family story in World War II, which is just so interesting. Like, wow. So it is based on true events from, I'm guessing, her great-grandmother. It's about a woman who works in London in 1942. She meets a guy, and I think she starts thinking that she's gonna have this happy life. The raids start happening, and I'm pretty sure bombs are gonna start going off, and something tragic is gonna happen. There's no other info really in the synopsis because it's probably gonna spoil the book, but I'm weirdly so nosy about this story. Like, I wanna know about Millie Bobby Brown's great-grandmother. I am so interested to see if Millie Bobby Brown's writing is like good as well. Although maybe she got a ghostwriter, I don't know. How can you tell if something is ghost written? Can anyone tell me? Ooh, next we have Black Sheep. I absolutely love this cover. This is about our main character who grew up in some sort of religious cult, and when she was 18, she fled. And I don't think she talks to anyone else again because I think she thought that maybe she was, what's the word? Shunned or something from that community. Anyway, now she's a grown-ass lady, and she gets an envelope in the mail inviting her back to that town or whatever to go to her friend's wedding. I think the summary just says that something's gonna surprise her, or horror is waiting for her there. So shit's gonna go down, I'm sure. I am so curious about the cow on this cover. Like, do they have vampire cows? I need to know. Ooh, then we have Dreambound. This sounds so interesting. It's about a dad, which is not a point of view I read from often, but apparently his daughter has gone missing. It tells us right in the synopsis that she has disappeared into the fictional universe of her favorite fantasy series. Can you imagine? First of all, if I was transported into my favorite fantasy universes, I'd be dead instantly because I'm not a fighter. I am not brave. I would die. I'd probably just kill myself so I wouldn't have to stress about anything. Anyway, he tracks down the author because he clearly doesn't believe that she has disappeared into a fictional universe. But then I think the author somehow convinces him it's real, and so he has to go and find his daughter in this universe. This could be bad or good, but the thing that's really selling me is that it's a mixed media story. So it's all from journal entries, transcripts, emails, I think pages of his book. I don't know if this is like his book. I'm so confused. But the fact that it's mixed media gets me so excited because I love that shit. Ooh, then we have an anthology. This is In These Hallowed Halls, and it's all about stories of dark academia, which is just so yummy when you're in the mood for it. I am a little nervous because any anthology that I've picked up, like I'm a huge short story fan, but usually I like a collection from one author because it has like an overarching tone and writing that I really vibe with. But anytime I picked up an anthology, it is just not for me because they're from authors that don't usually write short fiction. So it feels like something is missing. Or there's a couple good ones, but mostly bad ones. There's a big mix. I don't know. Sometimes I'm not in it, but I am interested in this because, again, if I'm in the mood for some dark academia, I don't want to hunker down with a big chunky book. I want a short and sweet taste of that dark academia. So I think I will pick this up, and it's got some dark academia writers that you'll probably be familiar with, like Olivia Blake. I forget who else, but I'm gonna link all of these down below so you can click on the Goodreads link for the book if you're interested. Now on to the third week of September, we have another anthology, and this one I'm definitely getting because I don't even care if it sucks. It sounds so interesting. This is an anthology of Indigenous dark fiction, which just sounds cool on its own. It's called Never Whistle at Night, and in the synopsis, it talks about Native Hawaiians. If you didn't know, I live in Hawaii. So obviously this is something that like I'm so interested in. Apparently Native Hawaiians, according to this book and synopsis, they believe that if you whistle at night, it calls some sort of warrior out and it's like unlucky. I don't know. But ever since reading this synopsis, every time I whistle nonstop, just so you know. It's one of my beige flags. It could really bug some people. My husband doesn't even notice that I do it anymore. But every time I've gone to whistle at night since I read this, I have hesitated and I don't do it because I'm like, it doesn't sound bad. Like if an ancient warrior comes up, like he could be nice. He could be like, damn, Allie, you're such a great whistler. It's funny too, because whenever I think of like ghosts haunting my house or me, I always think about how they probably like me a little bit. I can't tell if that's optimistic or narcissistic, but I guess it's better to love your ghosts than fear them. Anyway, I'm going on a total tangent, but I'm very excited about this, and I'm pretty sure it's all own voices. Next, we have a YA, which I don't pick up too often anymore, but this one really sounds intriguing. It's called The Only Girl in Town, and it's exactly that. It's about this girl whose family, friends, entire neighborhood has disappeared, and she is the only human. And I don't know what happened. I want to know exactly how it happened. I want to know all the intricate details between her friendships and her crush and her parents. I'm really hoping this is told in sort of a literary way because I think it could be very beautiful. And you know what it's kind of reminding me of? There's this French television show. I think they remade it in America. But what is it called? Like The Returned? Let me look it up. Yes, The Returned. I think that's the translation. Oh, apparently it's based on a film called They Came Back. Anyway, that is the most mysterious show I've ever watched. I never finished it because it was before streaming and I didn't want to buy the next season of television. But I'm hoping that this gives me the sort of intrigue and questions and kind of shooketh French feeling that that show gave me. That's a lot to ask of a YA story from an author I've never read from before, so I should probably calm down. But the blurb says that it distills the messy, beautiful realities of growing up, growing apart, and the courageous act of self-discovery. So apart from the mystery and the science fiction element, I'm hoping it's like beautifully told about human teenage life. Then we have North Woods. Honestly, this is the book I'm most excited for in September. It's literary fiction, and the main character is a cabin in the woods, which is just all I need to hear. Anytime a house or something that's not human is personified, it just rubs a good spot in my brain. That sounded really weird, but I love it, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So I think it's told over a series of possibly decades, possibly, I don't know, a long time. We're probably gonna hear stories of every single person who's lived in this house. And I don't know if they're gonna be supremely sad or tragic or funny. Hopefully it'll be a mix of a bunch of them. And so it sort of feels like a collection of short stories, but with like an overarching plot through the lens of the cabin in the woods. It sounds so good. Oh my God. Obviously I'm only gonna read this because of the cover, but this is called Starter Villain. This is a sci-fi set on Earth. Our main character's uncle owns a super villain business, and there's a bunch of shit going on. There's like undersea volcano layers, and obviously talking cats that like are in charge of this business. I don't know what's going on. I love cats. If they are human-sized cats, that would be a little frightening, but I feel like this is gonna be campy and silly and possibly gory. I don't know. It'll be entertaining for sure. Okay, next is Wellness, and this is a very boring sounding book, but for some reason I am so interested in reading it. Maybe it's the cover. It's just a basic husband and wife have been married for 20 years and now they're growing apart and they need to undertake separate personal excavation. So grow individually and then see if they're still gonna grow together. I don't know. It sounds like a boring premise, like I said, but the cover, it's making me think it's gonna be told beautifully. And that, my friends, is what judging a book by the cover looks like. Sometimes though, I'm just craving a very human, realistic issue amongst my cat villain books. Okay, and the final week of September, I have 2 more books for you. I have The Scarlet Veil. It's a vampire romance young adult. This is like the 3rd young adult book I'm featuring in this video, actually. And it's the vampire part that really truly sold me, because I've read a lot of vampire romance, as did many millennials like myself, and I'm ready for a comeback. I truly am. There's so much untapped potential, and even if they repeat everything that's ever been made, which I'm pretty sure every book in history is doing that, I have no problem with it. I can revisit the vampire romance subgenre. This one is set in the Serpent and Dove world. I never read that series. I remember seeing this cover everywhere. Let me know if it's good. I may want to read it first. I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be very closely tied to it, because the first sentence of this synopsis is 6 months have passed since Sally took her sacred vows and joined the ranks of blah, 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 blah. It's going right into like probably a huge spoiler from the series. Maybe I'll just ignore all of it and just start with this one. Anyway, she and her fiance are determined to grow in her role of huntswoman and help protect Belterra. Okay, this is sounding really complicated. Maybe I should read the series. Basically, she has to be a badass and defeat an enemy, and she's gonna probably win over the span of 3 or 4 books. Honestly, now I'm kind of not interested in this. No, I am, because I just remembered it's about vampires, okay? I want to read about vampires. Okay. And lastly, we have Land of Milk and Honey. This is a sort of sci-fi literary fiction. Our main character is a chef, and I think in the times, I don't know if they're on another planet or if it's just in the future, where food and resources are very limited. And so our main character ends up getting a job at some sort of colony on a mountaintop, and there are super cool alien sounding ingredients there. And apparently the ingredients reawaken the chef to pleasures of taste, touch, and her own body. So it sounds like she's just taking ecstasy or something. But I think things are gonna go wrong, because it's talking about ethics of seeking pleasure in a dying world, whether you want to spread that to other people and make your own new world, maybe playing God. I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of probably big brain commentary and discussion, which is definitely something I have to be in the mood for, but it also sounds like it could possibly be very sensual in the way it is written, which is something I'm a huge fan of. Especially when it's like sexy food. That's like my buzzword. There's something about when food is talked about in a very literary kind of way that is just sexy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hungry. All right, those are all the books that I'm really looking forward to, or at least looking forward to trying out. I don't know that I'll love all of them, but honestly, this seems like a good group of books. Let me know if you've heard of these and are excited as well. If you've somehow gotten the arc of any of these, let me know. If I didn't mention any books that you're looking forward to that are coming out in September, definitely comment below, because I'm obsessed with new releases. I'm such a big nerd for it. Even if I don't read them, like, I want to know about it. It's like this weird thing I have in my brain. It's almost like I'm buying the book by just researching it. I don't know. But then I end up buying the books anyway, so that's a sickness. All right, I'm gonna stop babbling. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.